Hi, welcome to Extreme Machine. This is the 7-year program to creating a high performance body. This is the video number 1, the first training video. My name's Dr. Mary Riggin.
And I'm Dr. Kim Marie.
We're going to be talking about the facts, the myths, the recipes, and the formula.
Now, a quick program overview. Our 9-point formula is what we'll be going over throughout the whole course of this training. And the first point on that formula is lies exposed. We want to dispel the 7 myths about healthy eating.
And point number 2 is what organic means, really looking at quality versus type.
And then our third point is the types of food to eat to actually rebuild your body.
Point number 4 is how to translate ingredient labels.
So we'll be looking at some before and after recipes as we go along, how to take your favorite foods and substitute in a way that makes them healthy for you to still be able to enjoy yourself without being deprived.
And this was huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I find with our patients, they're so grateful that they can actually eat food.
Yes, and not just rabbit food.
And the things they like.
Yes.
And so this has been really key. Point number 5 is the shopping list.
Right. How do you know what to buy when you go in the store? Our 6th point is items that masquerade as healthy food. This can be so tricky and so deceptive.
Oh, even in the health food stores, you got to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Point number 7, recipes. How to eat well without feeling deprived.
Again,
huge.
You don't have to live just on rabbit food.
Mm-hmm.
The 8th point is exercising for your body type and its abilities.
Oh, and it's so interesting how when we start talking to people and debugging this, we find out that they've been exercising wrong and it's been causing weight gain.
Mm-hmm. And our 9th strategy is to have a body maintenance and repair program.
So actually knowing what to do when you start to feel something go wrong and how do you address those things without having to use the harsher drugs or surgeries or things like that.
And that's the thing, when things start to go wrong.
And catching it early. It's kind of like a car.
Yes.
Now, today's free training, we're going to be outlining a couple of things. The first thing is some of the most common questions people have and the mistakes people make when trying to eat healthy and lose weight.
And as a special bonus, we'll be providing you guys with a breakfast recipe.
Biggest question, what is food?
Most of what we've been taught about food is wrong, and it's literally putting your life at risk.
Yeah, why do we care?
Well, let's take a look. According to the Central Intelligence Agency World Factbook, out of all industrialized nations, the United States ranks 49th in life expectancy.
That means there are 48 other countries where you can expect to live longer.
Right, and we're not talking about third world countries. We're talking about,
mainstream,
yeah,
industrialized
countries
with healthcare systems.
Mm-hmm.
And yet what's ironic is we spend the most on healthcare.
Right.
Than anybody else does. And yes, we said the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. You can look it up online, check out the statistics. They have them all there.
Yes.
And this really got me because I think that the United States should be considered one of the healthiest on the planet since we have one of the biggest and best healthcare systems.
Okay.
What happened?
And another question is, what are the top 7 most popular weight loss methods that will make you sick and fat?
Did you say the 7 most popular ones will make you sick and fat?
Absolutely.
I think I tried those and I did end up anyway. So how do we know they make you sick and fat?
Because that's absurd, right?
You'd think.
75% of Americans are obese or overweight.
And, being obese or overweight increases the likelihood of developing diseases of affluence.
Right. Coronary heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, diabetes, insulin resistance, prediabetes, metabolic syndrome or syndrome X.
As well as chronic pain, arthritis, and sleep apnea. And these are just to name a few of the chronic illnesses that develop or are made worse by excess weight.
And a note about this percentage. In 2008, 68% of the population was overweight or obese.
And as recently as 2008, the projection was that by 2020, 75% of the population would be overweight. Well, the U.S. population reached that 12-year projection in only 2 years.
And the thing that's the most disturbing to me about that is that these percentages are based on self-reports.
Have you ever known anyone underestimate their weight?
Or understate it, and I've been to doctors' offices where they weigh the patients at every single visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, why would you do that? And they said, because the two things that the patients lie about the most is how tall they are and how much they weigh.
So the reality is half of all Americans are on a diet at any given time.
And yet 75% of the population is overweight.
How can that be?
Well, what popular food additives cause chronic illness?
You mean there's food additives that actually cause chronic illness?
And that chronic illness can actually contribute to weight gain.
Wow. So there's actually common diet foods that could actually increase appetite.
And make you gain weight.
The diet foods.
And increase your appetite and make you gain weight. Two separate things. You don't just gain weight because your appetite's increased. You actually gain weight as a direct result of the product.
Wow. Makes you wonder if they're
so it's a double whammy.
Creating their own market.
Sure.
I'm sorry. But, you've got to stop and look at some of these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what disease strikes 10% of the population?
And of that 10% who have it, 1/3 don't even know it.
So this is silently killing people.
And how do we know this?
Well,
10% of Americans are diabetic.
23% of Americans over the age of 65 are diabetic.
And this number is rising at an alarming rate.
And, you can go to the Centers for Disease Control, which is where we got these statistics
right,
from.
CDC.gov.
And so the government is issuing these statistics, and it's rising. In 2001, 15.7 million Americans were diabetic.
And just a year later, that number was 18.2 million.
And you got to stop and ask yourself, what's wrong?
Right, because it can't be genetics.
No. And the percentage of diagnosed diabetes among adults aged 18 years and over increased from 5.1% in 1997 to 9% in March 2010.
And that doesn't include the 1/3 of undiagnosed diabetics or anyone who's pre-diabetic or borderline diabetic.
And the reality with diabetes is that it will cause blindness, kidney failure. That means you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And will cause you to lose your feet and legs.
And over 50% die of heart disease.
This is not something to play around with or just say, oh, well, I'll just take the insulin if I eat the candy.
And if we count the people that are pre-diabetic and the ones that are just insulin resistant and the ones that are diabetic, the ones diagnosed and undiagnosed, that number is 78 million in the United States alone.
You got to stop and wonder, why is this going on?
Yeah.
And that's what we stopped and started looking at. Now, there's a chart here that we've put up on the video of the diagnosed diabetes among adults aged 18 years and over in the United States from 1997 to 2010. And you can see the percentage rates, how they've climbed. And it seems to be increasing at an alarming rate as time goes on.
And to the point where it's almost doubled.
Chronic illness in general is at an all-time high. Increases are also seen in cancers, allergies, digestion problems, IBS, celiac disease, bladder problems, behavior problems, skin diseases, autism, infertility, fibromyalgia, neurological problems, hormone problems, low sex drive, impotence. Look at the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Chronic pain, autoimmune diseases. It's insane what's going on out there, and it was never like this.
No. And there's some that'll argue that, we just got better at diagnosing these things.
No.
That's not it.
That is not it. And, I love to show these maps to just give us such a clear understanding of what's happening. In 1988, there were only a couple of states where more than 35% of the population was considered overweight. And then we move into 1992.
And it's about half.
And then we move into 1996.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the red getting more prevalent. 1999, do we see a pattern, maybe an epidemic happening here?
Yes.
In the year 2000, more than 35% of the entire country was considered overweight. That's 10 years ago. You'd think with seeing the trend, something would have been done about this.
And now 10 years later,
the numbers are more than double.
75% of Americans are considered either overweight or obese.
Which the obesity is now at 35% by itself. And so it kind of makes it look like at first appearance that nothing's really changed, and they're playing with semantics.
Well, and not only that, but if you look back to the height weight charts from 40 years ago compared to now, they've actually changed the criteria for what overweight is. If we used the models from 40 years ago, then
it would be worse. And again, this is why we stop and we start asking the questions. Why?
What's happening?
What's going on? Obviously, there's something very, very wrong.
Yeah.
And, we've spent a good part of the past decade researching this.
And treating it.
And have come up with some answers that we've seen consistently effective.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to say there's a solution. It may not be easy. And it's not overnight, which is why we're calling this a 7-year plan.
And it's extreme.
And this is extreme.
This is not for somebody who has 5 vanity pounds that they can lose by skipping, dessert once a week. This is for the people who have done everything and nothing works.
You're ready for a change, and you're ready for a whole lifestyle change. And that's what this provides. And it's not just about losing weight. It really is all about getting healthy and rebuilding a new body. And it can do that.
The most amazing thing to me in the world.
I know. My car doesn't rebuild itself.
No kidding.
Well, my body does.
Yes.
And it can. But we've got to give it what it needs to do that. And that's what this training is all about. Now, in training number 2, we're going to have you do a couple things. First of all, sign up for the next video. And we need you to do that. You'll see the little sign up link there.
And what you'll learn is exactly what is food, because you may think but probably
you'd be surprised.
Yeah. They don't teach that in school.
No.
What are the 7 most popular weight loss methods that make you sick and fat?
You'll also learn, how do we know they make you sick and fat?
And what popular food additives cause chronic illness?
And what common diet foods will increase your appetite and make you gain weight? So what's next? Like we said, sign up for the next training.
And click the link to sign up or go to www.foodismedicine.org.
And please post your comments and questions about this training. We'd really like your feedback.
And as a special bonus, what's for breakfast? We've included an easy-to-make breakfast recipe.
And that is our quick prep crustless spinach quiche. And we will also have this available as a PDF download, so you can download it and print it out to have on hand. And I found this is a great breakfast even on the go, especially if you make it ahead of time.
And, we're interested in your feedback on this as well.
So thanks for listening today. We will catch you next time in the next training video, and we'll continue to go over these topics and answer the questions and start you on your path to rebuilding an extreme machine new body. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening today. For more information, go to foodismedicine.org. That's foodismedicine.org. And how about starting with one small change in what you eat this week?